So the other day I was showing you, I was canning our chickens that we just butchered. Now, before somebody says, aha, you do stockpile. This is not a stockpile. This is preservation of food that we accumulate somehow or another through butchering, or we find a sale at the store. Now, we do have a lot of this, don't get me wrong. We have like, I don't know, 300 cans, jars of canned food. But we eat it on a regular basis, and then we just resupply what we have. I don't consider this SHTF, but if something were to happen to our chickens, that would give us time eating this stuff to reproduce our chickens, because we can incubate our chickens and get enough chickens that they'll start laying eggs again, and we can start butchering again. And within 6 months, we'd be back into regular business. That's not SHTF, that's not stockpiling, that's not prepping. That's just what homesteaders do to prepare for winter and different problems that are going to happen on the homestead. Same thing when living off grid. So I'm not a prepper, this is just the way it works. This is also, in my mind, money. It's valuable. Because if I go to the store and I try to buy chicken now, it's like $6 a pound. It may not be that high, but let's just say it's $6 a pound, probably not that far off. But when if I bought this chicken, it was $1 a pound, $2 a pound, something like that. So I've instantly saved money. So this is all going to be very important here in a minute, because the feds are going to seize our bank accounts. And I'm going to explain all this in a minute. But something else that I try to demonstrate as not stockpiling, but just having a supply on hand, and that's the firewood. Now, I have 15 years worth of firewood. Again, I am not stockpiling firewood for SHTF, because I would be able to get firewood whether SHTF were here or not. I did this so in case old age hits me and I can't cut firewood as well as I used to, I will have 15 years worth of firewood. I'll kind of show you down here. It's all weeded up. It usually happens during the summertime and the tarps look bad, but I think this is 13 years here. And then I got a couple more stacks. This is a retirement plan to me. I could probably get $300 to $400 per cord out of this. So you figure 15 cords, you do the math. YouTube math, I always mess it up when I'm trying to do math on YouTube. Not only can I use this for the next 15 years, I can also sell it if something happened. I get in a financial bind and I need to sell firewood. And then what I can do is go back out in the woods, start cutting firewood again, or I can do what I always have done. This is where I got most of this, I think all of this, is I have this app called Free App. You can download it at the App Store. And occasionally somebody will say, hey, I got free firewood. You go over there, cut it up, bring it over here. It's all free. That way I don't even have to touch my woods. That way if SHTF were to happen, I got 30 years of firewood in the woods itself I could cut down. But I don't want to cut it down because it's pretty and I like it that way. So this is not prepping. This is not stockpiling. This is just living off grid and trying to work as smart as possible. But in my mind, this stuff, just like I said with the chickens and the chicken meat and the canned food, is worth more than money. Now, I've tried to explain this in the past and I never can seem to get through anybody. This has more value than cash. And as some people will say, cash has no value. It's owned by the government and it's just a piece of paper. It doesn't mean anything. And then there's gold. But again, gold, there's a couple problems with gold. Gold, if you can't get firewood, is an okay thing to have. But it's not great like firewood and food. Because you can always use firewood and food, and people will always buy firewood and food. They will trade whatever you need for firewood and food. Guaranteed. Whereas if you had gold and you wanted to trade with somebody, so you would have to come up there and say, I got some gold, I would like to buy some eggs from you. And they'd be like, nah, I don't need gold, I need firewood. I'll trade you eggs for firewood or something like that. But they're going to be a little bit more hesitant to trade gold, because gold, I mean, how much gold does it cost to buy an egg? You know, it'd be like, I don't know how much I want. What's the value? And without Google telling us what the value of things is, or some sort of investment planner, how do you know what to charge in an SHTF? To me, if somebody came up to me with a piece of gold, I would really struggle with a piece of gold if there was somebody else right behind saying, hey, I got firewood, or I got food, or I got something that you need, water. I would want those things before I want gold. I'd have to go through less trading. I can trade item for item. Something they need for something I need. Gold is good for long-term investment. It's a lot better than a stock market, but that still means that you're relying on cash as your principal value, because gold will go up and down in value based on the currency value. So as inflation rises, gold prices are going to go up, but gold will buy the same amount of milk today as that same amount of gold would have bought back in the 1920s. It's the value of the cash that changed. The value of the milk didn't change, the value of the gold didn't change. They're exactly the same. Pasteurized milk, let's say. These are the kind of things I think that people should be investing in if you are worried about the future. I hear a lot of these preppers, you need digital currency and you need gold. That's the only way to survive in SHTF. And I hear a lot of preppers saying that, and I just think that is just a wrong thinking. You need a wood stove. You need to can your own food. You need chickens. You need goats. If you're into goats, I'm not into goats. Pigs, whatever it is you're into, start raising your own food. Rabbits, ducks, turkeys. I mean, I just heard turkey is $6 a pound now if your store just bought it. So when Thanksgiving comes around and you buy a 20-pound turkey, that's $120 for your family. It would make more sense to raise your own turkey. Make more sense to raise your own chickens. Get your own eggs. Prices are going up. The prices at the store cost more than the price of the chicken that I'm raising. I can raise sunflower seeds, give them all the protein they want and need. I've explained all this in the past. And so you give them a handful of sunflower seeds each day, and then you give them the grass and the weeds around your place, and they're eating healthy. You recycle your eggs, which we do. We recycle our eggs by washing and then dehydrating the shells, and then that gives them their calcium. So you give that to them right before they go to bed, and then that give them all the calcium they need. Of course, we buy a big bag of oyster shell calcium also. They can eat that throughout the day. You buy a big bag of that, that'll last forever, along with the eggshells. When you're self-sustaining and you're thinking about value of things for you, not to go out and buy a new house or a new car or anything, things you're gonna need. That's why I say living off grid is so much more important than being a prepper. Because as a prepper, you're still thinking, I wanna buy that car, I wanna buy that house. And then if SHTF happens, then I am prepared for it with my prepping stuff, my stockpile. Whereas I live this lifestyle every day. I got firewood, I use the firewood, I replenish the firewood, I got canned food, I use the canned food, and then I replenish the canned food. So in an earlier video, I reported the government is wanting to change all our cash into digital currency. And they're spouting this off as it's going to be easier to work with, and the banks aren't going to have to be involved, and that way you can skip the middleman and there's no charges on you. And so they're just really saying how great this is. Well, this is a real problem to me, because when you really start digging into it, first of all, they're going to start charging you, and it's really hard to read. It's difficult, so I may be getting some of the facts wrong, but they're going to charge you per purchase. So I guess you're going to have a federal card now. And so when your Social Security or something is paid, or you get your paycheck, it's going to go into la-la land, into digital zeros and ones. And then they can control your spending habits. So if you wanted to go and pay the neighbor kid $10 to mow your grass, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. You're going to pay the neighbor kid in digital currency. Now the neighbor kid has to pay taxes on that. And so that would give them better control over everything. I don't know if it's illegal for the 10-year-old to cut a couple $100 in yard fees, cutting grass throughout this summer. But now the IRS can come and collect taxes on him. And I just don't see that as necessary. A 10-year-old kid should be able to get $10 to cut your yard all summer. But like I said, they're going to charge you for each purchase. And I think they're going to charge you like $25 per deposit. So here you are already scrimping on a fixed income on Social Security. Your Social Security check goes into digital currency, and they're going to charge you $25 for that pay that you need. I don't know what you need it for, food. And so this is a hidden tax also in my mind. The deposit and the fees that they're going to make you pay to buy things is just a hidden tax, and they're going to say it's service fees and that kind of stuff. Well, right now, your bank controls those service fees. So you don't typically have, I don't have to pay for deposits. But right now the store, if I use my ATM card, the store is charged so much by the bank for that transaction. So it doesn't come up directly out of my pocket. And so it kind of flows through the capitalist society. Well, now it's just a tax. They're just going to take it from you and you have no choice. It's not like you can go find a different bank that's cheaper. It's whatever they say. So let's say right now they're going to charge you 1 penny per purchase. But another administration comes in and then they're going to charge you 10 cents per purchase. And just like the income tax, you know, the income tax, don't quote me, but I think it was supposed to be 10%. When they passed it back in the 1919 or 1920 or whenever it was passed, it was supposed to be 10%. Well, now it's all over the place. And then you got Social Security tax, and they just keep adding more taxes onto you. Well, the same thing's going to happen with this digital currency. Then the other issue is they're going to control your purchases. So if they don't want you buying gasoline, for example, let's say, and they, the digital currency people, the government, the IRS, the feds, whoever's regulating all this, will be able to say, well, you already bought your allotment of gas this month with your own money. It's your money. It's not like you're asking them to give you money. So they may say, no, you can only buy 20 gallons this month and you already bought 25, so you can't buy anymore, and they'll just block you from buying gasoline or ammunition or whatever it is they don't want you to buy. Electricity. So relying on a cash and banking systems and all that, it looks like it's becoming more dangerous. And it's supposed to, they're supposed to be rolling this out this month in September. So if you can invest in things like chickens, firewood, start canning, like I just showed you in a video a couple days ago, this is going to hold more value. Even if there is digital currency and it's not SHTF and we're living in a dystopia world, my neighbor still may be able to come over and say, hey, can I trade you some firewood for some eggs or something, you know, like that. Then we have a true barter system, not one that relies on a group of people that, you know, going to be in my mag or whatever they call it in these prepping channels. It's just your neighbor saying, hey man, I got some firewood, can I get some eggs? That kind of thing. It's a safer method, and firewood and eggs, canned food, is just going to hold value for a lot longer. It doesn't change. So if you can click this up next box, it'll take you to another video where I just talked about this and borrowing money, which is, you got to be debt free. So I hope I can inspire you to get away from the government and the banks so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.